Good morning. What a good morning. Yesterday, the United States Senate took the additional step toward passing the bipartisan infrastructure bill. It's a bill that would end years of gridlock in Washington and create millions of good-paying jobs.
So we got a pretty big jobs gain in July, 974,000 jobs, which is about 100,000 jobs more than the consensus estimate among economists. Most folks estimated we'd land around 850,000 jobs in July. But the really significant change is the 0.5% drop in the unemployment rate from 5.9% in June to 5.4% in July. We've actually seen a lot of encouraging progress towards some of the hardest hit industries like restaurants, bars, the hospitality sector, hotels. Businesses that lost a lot of employees in the beginning of 2020 have been able to start regularly bringing them back. Now, earlier on in the year, we heard a lot of reports about employers struggling to find jobs, employers struggling to find workers, a little bit of a slower start to the recovery than we'd expect. But it seems like restaurants, bars, hotels are all adding jobs at a pretty stable pace right now. And, the leisure and hospitality sector accounted for a third of the total July jobs gains, kind of in line with previous reports. So while there might be some businesses that are having trouble bringing back workers in certain situations, it seems like the economy on whole is starting to handle that a little bit better than it was before. So the biggest factor behind the American economy's rebound right now is folks going back to a lot of the activities and a lot of the businesses that they were either too afraid to go to during the pandemic or couldn't go to because of restrictions. Now that we've got, an increasing number of Americans vaccinated, a lot of folks feeling more comfortable to go out and do things, all of that money going toward restaurants, toward dining, toward vacation, toward travel, all of that's fueling the economy again and really helping a lot of those businesses start to bring back workers. Now, earlier on, we're still in an unprecedented situation where we're taking a $20 trillion economy that was basically on ice for a year and bringing it back. So there have been some, fits and starts, some hiccups, but what we've seen so far is that the economy, the pace of the recovery has really started to hit a nice groove over the summer. Now, we really don't know right now how much of an impact 26 states pulling out of some of the expanded unemployment programs has had. A lot of those states thought that this would help their economies recover quicker, start to, force more people who maybe didn't want to work or get ready to work back into jobs. But we haven't really seen any evidence that that's the case. And we also haven't seen evidence that the states that are holding on to these expanded unemployment benefits for longer are seeing any worse outcomes in the states that have gotten rid of them. So it's pretty early to tell. All of these programs are set to end nationally in September, and there's no indication right now that the White House will extend them. So we'll probably get the definitive verdict later this year. But, right now it's kind of tough to say what exactly is the most responsible for some of the lack of the speed that we saw earlier. The July jobs report looked great, but it was also compiled a few weeks before the CDC warned that even, vaccinated folks should be wearing masks when they're in indoor spaces around other people. Now, the good thing is that studies have shown that folks who are fully vaccinated, even if they do get the Delta variant, they still are, extraordinarily well protected from serious symptoms. It's highly unlikely that if you're fully vaccinated, according to the health experts, that you're going to really, really suffer because of this this variant. That said, we don't really know how folks are going to react to that yet. We don't know how consumers are reacting yet. We don't really know what the sum total of all these businesses either imposing mask mandates or delaying their return to the offices. All of that started to happen toward the end of the month, whereas the data for the jobs report was compiled toward the beginning of the month. So it's probably going to take until the August jobs report to really know how much of an impact Delta has had on the labor market. So the president and Democratic lawmakers are really happy with what they've seen. This is on whole a pretty strong jobs report. You could find certain things that aren't super great, but on whole, this report they've pointed to as vindication that their economic agenda is working. And, the president and Democrats have been getting some pressure because inflation had been rising. Some of the earlier jobs reports during his presidency weren't as great. And, there was a lot of criticism as to where where these jobs gains were going to come from. The president spoke to reporters today, and while he was, very happy about the jobs report, he warned that the Delta variant could upend a lot of this, and that it's all on very fragile ground unless more Americans get vaccinated, not only to protect themselves against Delta, but to prevent another more dangerous variant from coming along that really changes the picture. So the president was really echoing what a lot of both economists and public health experts have said, which is if we want to keep this economic recovery strong, we need to get as many folks vaccinated as possible to make sure we can quash this disease and get back to our full lives without having to really worry too much about it.
Now, while our economy is far from complete, and while we doubtlessly will have ups and downs along the way as we continue to battle the Delta surge of COVID, what is indisputable now is this: the Biden plan is working, the Biden plan produces results, and the Biden plan is moving the country forward. We're now the first administration in history to add jobs every single month in our first 6 months in office, and the only one in history to add more than 4 million jobs during the first 6 months. Economic growth is the fastest in 40 years. Jobs are up. The unemployment rate is the lowest since the pandemic hit. Black unemployment is down as well. Why? Because we put in place the necessary tools. America can beat the Delta variant, just as we beat the original COVID-19. We can do this. So wear a mask where recommended. Get vaccinated today. All of that will save lives.